Hello everyone, this is Mama Martin from Mama Martin's Kitchen. How is everyone doing? I'm about to do garlic pork. That's a holiday recipe that was done since I was a child. But we always did garlic beef because pork was not cooked in our home because of my mom. So this recipe is with the compliments of my brother-in-law. His name is Gordon Gonzalez. A few years ago, I called to ask him how to do it because I knew that he did pork. Because my daughters, their Caribbean connection at their job, Christmas party, is always potluck and you bring something that's popular from your country. And I didn't know how to do the pork because they requested they would like to have that. So I called and he told me how to do it. So this is his recipe and it is delicious. It's pork. What is recommended is pork shoulder. And I've already cut it into cubes. The pork, you cannot wet it. When you bring it from the store, you take paper towel and you wipe it, a few times. Get it as clean as you can, squeeze any juice out of it into the paper towel. Then once you're done with that, you cut it into cubes, which I've already done. And you sprinkle a little bit of salt, not too much, just a little bit. These are the ingredients, it's not a lot of ingredients. And then after you sprinkle the salt, you put garlic. I've already cut up the garlic. You can cut the garlic up without the skin or with the skin. And then you add it to the meat. And then you add a little bit of Scotch bonnet pepper. This one is not that because the supermarket didn't have that. So we substituted the next best to that. And this is the next best to Scotch bonnet. If they don't have that, you can get this one. I'm about to choke from how hot it is. And then this is about 8 sprigs of thyme. You put it all together and you mix it in. Usually I would mix it with my hand because it would be done better with my hand, but I'm not doing that because I don't want that pepper on my hand. And then the last thing you do, you add white vinegar. And you have to add enough to cover the meat because it all has to be covered so it can soak and have the taste of the garlic with the vinegar and everything. And that's how it's done. It's very simple. And then you put it in a dish, preferably Pyrex or anything glass, not so much plastic. Put it in a dish and you leave it there for between 4 to 7 days, depending on how much you want the taste of the garlic. Because my brother-in-law, he would put it there and then he would take a little taste. In a couple of days he said, oh, this is not strong enough for me. But for me, I do it for like about 3 days. And then you pour it, I'm going to pour it into this dish. See how it already started to pick up the garlic and everything. Please remember Do not wet the pork. If you wet it, it will spoil. It will no more be garlic pork. It will all spoil. Cannot wet the pork. Just wipe it out. The garlic is between there. The thyme, it all has to blend in there. It's soaked there for a few days. And that's it for the beginning. And then a few days later, I will fry it and show you the finished product. This is the second part of the garlic pork that I showed you, that I put in the vinegar and set to cook. Now this is the final stage of it, where I put some oil, not too much, just a little bit of oil in the pan to get hot. And when it does, I will put the garlic pork in there. And this is the oil I always use for everything. Avocado oil. And it doesn't have an aftertaste. It doesn't leave any taste at all in your food. Pan will get hot, and this is what it looks like. I wish you were here, the aroma. But since we can't send it to the phone or the picture or anything, just use your imagination and think of thyme, garlic, lots of garlic. Okay, I think the pan is hot enough and I don't want to be burnt, so I'm going to do this as quickly as I can. It's garlic pork is something that's, I don't know if any other part of the Caribbean it's done at Christmas time. I only know that it's done in Guyana. It's served Christmas morning. You serve garlic pork or garlic beef and homemade bread, fresh homemade bread, pepper pot, ham, and that's your Christmas morning breakfast. Now the older folks made this, and I don't know how they became, they got the recipe, but it's just the pork, the garlic, vinegar, thyme, hot pepper, which is good. In Guyana it's berry pepper. We have it, we call it hot pepper. And you cut that up and you soak it all together. But as I said earlier, I have never made garlic pork because it was not made in our house, because my mother was allergic to pork. So my grandmother made garlic beef, and it's made slightly different. So when I had to make the garlic pork for my children's Christmas dinner at their job, I got this garlic pork recipe from my brother-in-law, as I said earlier. But in our house it was not made, because everybody else could have eaten pork. My dad, my grandfather, my grandmother, but not my mother, so my grandmother did not make it. But it is delicious, because I made it a few years ago for the job Christmas party, and I tasted it and it was great. So the praise goes to him for telling me how he does it. Now I don't know, I know he must have gotten that from his mother. I didn't ask him all those questions, but what he told me to do, I did exactly that. And it turned out very, very nice. And that's the history of it, because in his house, he's my brother-in-law, this is my sister's husband. And in their house, this smells up the entire neighborhood. They must have garlic pork. So that's the history of it, and they make the same fresh bread and everything we did as growing up, the garlic beef and the fresh bread and the pepper pot. Well, everybody makes pepper pot and you make it with different things, and I'm going to show you guys how to make that. And that's it. And you stir occasionally, because you know, as when you're cooking any kind of meat, you have to keep turning it over to make sure that it's cooking through. And it's the same thing you do here. Well, when it cooks down, as you know, you always test meat to know if it's soft enough. That's why I left that little bit of stuff there. If you need to put it, you keep doing this to make sure that it's soft, because you don't want it to, you know, when it's done cooking, it's too hard and you have to chew it and spit it out. Yes, it has to cook down, cook through, that you're not eating half raw meat. And we make it a little, to get to a little crispy, not crisp, because it's not a crunchy thing. Once it gets to that, you know it's finished. It's called, as you know, you guys call it well done. It has to get to well done, because you cannot eat this half raw. It will make you sick. You have the finished line. It's almost done. See, you press it, it's cooked. Thyme and the garlic, everything is in there. Of course, you would not be eating the thyme because the thyme has stems in it. But that's the finished product. And it delish. Wish you could have tasted this, but you're gonna have to cook it for yourself. And then you let me know. Well, with my mouth full, sorry, that's bad manners, but that's the finished product. Please do not forget to subscribe and like. Thank you very much. See you again soon.